the governor of Kentucky. Please welcome to the show, Governor Andy Beshear. Welcome. Please take a seat.
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. Your whole family was backstage. I met your kids. You got a couple of Gen Z kids.
I do.
The Democrats are trying to connect with Gen Z. You got a couple right there for you. And
right
I know
there.
Your son has come on your podcast to at least try to help you with Gen Z slang. How's that been going?
Well, it tends to make Dad look 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
But in episode 1, I learned the difference between something being skibbity and fire.
Okay.
And on episode 2, I've learned I'm doing all this for the plot.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Now,
indeed.
I think it's very helpful. I think it's good to know, learn that slang so you understand it, but I would also tell you don't use it.
Yeah, they say that as cringe.
Oh, that is... Now, you do have a podcast, and obviously, based on the photo, you wanted to attract Gen Z listeners.
Working on it.
Really? Is that thirsty? Would you say that's thirsty? Sus? Is that sus, maybe? I don't know.
I think that's just me.
That's just you, and I think the podcast is just you. You don't just talk to politicians or
That's
just
right.
about politics. Have you enjoyed being a podcaster?
I've enjoyed it. For once, I get to ask the questions.
Yeah, not bad.
But what I love about it is it's not about conflict. It's not about just politics. It's about trying to process this crazy world we live in right now. The idea that we can talk about the tough issues, but in a conversation among friends where by the time we're done, we're ready to face the week ahead. Because the news hits you just over and over right now. And the goal is to process that anxiety, but then be ready, not to move left or right, but to move forward. And what I love about it is we have Democrats and Republicans on, and we agree on about 80% of everything we talk about.
You are a Democratic governor in a state that many would say that can't possibly be true.
Many.
Yeah, you won by 1% your first time out, and then 5% your next time out. This is a state that Donald Trump carried by 30%? Is that about right? So I think everybody maybe is looking to you to ask this question of what is the secret, and what would you say is the best advice you'd give to them?
The best advice I can give is 3 parts. First, make sure you're spending that 80% of your time on people's everyday needs. If people don't believe they have a job that can support their family, pay the grocery bill, or maybe even take their family on vacation every once in a while, they'll vote for anybody that they truly believe is fighting for them. So 80% of our time on jobs, on healthcare, on infrastructure, on education, and on public safety. The second thing I tell them is, let's start talking like normal human beings again. Not talking at people, but talking to people. We've let these terms like substance use disorder or food insecurity become a part of our lingo that you wouldn't use in talking with your friend. In other words, if I was going to talk about the damage of that big, ugly bill, if I tell you more seniors or more children are going to be food insecure, that's not going to have an impact. But if I tell you they're going to go hungry when they go to bed at night or wake up in the morning. But the last part I think is the most important. People are looking for authenticity. People who are being real and leveling with them. Democrats are really good at the what. We're really good at the policy position, point 2, sub point 3, bullet point 4. But we're very bad at talking about our why we made a decision. For me, that's my faith. So I remember I'm in my reelection in 2023. And you were kind about 2019. I won by 0.4%.
Okay, got it.
But you can round up.
Yeah, it's a little big for me to round up. I should have said it was a... I want to go back and say it was a tie. Yeah.
Thank goodness that wasn't the case. Otherwise, you'd have a very different guest.
Yeah.
But I'm in the middle of my reelection, and my legislature, which is of the other party, passes the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation my state had ever seen. And I veto it because it's the right thing to do. But when I explain my why, I say my faith teaches me that all children are children of God, and I don't want people picking on those kids. If the legislature was going to show them hate, I was going to try to show them love. If they were going to show them judgment, I was going to try to show them acceptance. And I'll never forget the next day, I'm at an event opening a factory, because that's where we got to be the next day. And a guy in a trucker hat makes a beeline towards me. And I think, oh goodness, I know what's coming. But he sticks his hand out. That's a good sign. And he says, Governor, I'm not sure I agree with what you did yesterday, but I know you're doing what you think is right. And he patted me on the back and he walked on. So maybe it's that why, having enough respect, even for people that disagree with you, to explain it, that can create that grace and space where maybe we can have these conversations.
I think that makes a lot of sense. To go back to sort of, the data part of the Democratic Party, I read you in an interview say that, the Democratic Party sometimes makes a mistake where when people say they're afraid of things, the Democratic Party will point to data that proves that what they're afraid of is not real. And that is a way to completely dismiss people. And it strikes me that we really have to get to what people are feeling and address it in a way that makes them feel heard,
yes.
Whether or not the data supports
Yes.
it in a way that makes you feel as though you're in the right.
If we are the party of mental health is just as important as physical health, then how we feel is really important. Now, you could technically be safe by the statistics, but if you don't feel safe, we in government have a job to do more. But making people safer is hard work. It's not just a gimmick. It's not something that'll work for a month. In Kentucky, we were able to raise our salary for Kentucky State Police. We have more on the road than we've had in a decade. We attacked recidivism, knowing that we might not be able to stop the first time someone commits a crime, but we can stop the second or third. So we're teaching a trade in each one of our prisons. We have programs to try to intervene with youth, especially youth at risk. And so it's doing the work every single day and the hard work to make people safer that hopefully makes them feel safer too.
Obviously, you were referring to the bill that recently was passed. It's a crazy thing they call it, so let's just not. But this is really going to affect a rural state like yours. And again, we saw while they were trying to get the votes, and obviously in the end they got them. They were saying, look, this is not going to cut, the medical services that states like this rely on, and nobody believed that.
So we're going to cut billions in revenue, and it's not going to impact the services.
Yeah. So how do Democrats get this story out? And is it one that you feel like Kentucky voters are understanding, or has it not affected them yet?
See, I think Republicans in Congress, and I want to say in Congress, because I don't believe in stereotyping people. There are people in every political party that have unique and thoughtful views, and I want to make sure I'm respectful for that. But Republicans in Congress, in passing that big, ugly bill, they basically punched rural America in the face. What this is going to do is it's going to shut down a lot of rural hospitals. And rural hospitals typically have the largest payroll in their community. They're typically the second largest employer behind the public schools. So if you close those, you also impact the community's economy. The coffee shop's going to close, the restaurant's going to close, the bank's going to close. And then think about worker productivity. Instead of seeing someone, a physician in your own community, you're going to have to take off a day for yourself, and then your parents, and then your kids. And thankfully, people understand health care and Medicaid in a different way now. How we see it is Medicaid covers the people we love the most, our parents and our kids. Half of Kentucky's kids are covered by Medicaid. About 70% of our long-term care costs for seniors are covered by Medicaid. So now think about that big, ugly bill making you fill out all the forms twice a year, hoping that you don't check a box. So that hardworking family that's busy, that has a special needs child, that misses a box, they lose coverage for 6 months for that child. People whose dad or mom is in long-term care that doesn't check the right box, how do they bring them into the house? Does one of them stop working? How do you cover all of that? This is going to have detrimental impacts, not just to whole communities, but to families. It's wrong. It's mean. We need to flip Congress to undo it, because that is the only ultimate answer, is to rescind this bill.
Well, I certainly hope that can happen. I just want to say, first time we met, you're very good at this, and yet I was surprised to hear that you could not get elected when you were in school.
So when I was growing up, I ran for everything. My dad had been in politics. I think I ran for student council representative in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and I lost them all. I remember there was a youth in government thing in high school, and 3 of us ran for lieutenant governor, and I came in 3rd. And I think if I could have come in 4th, I would have come in 4th. It wasn't even close. But I was running because I thought I was supposed to. I hadn't found my why. And what's interesting is I was probably running on my last name. First election I ever won was in college. It was many years later, and I just ran as Andy. And
I love it. Did it just say just Andy? Was that what was on the post? Yeah.
I was afraid of every sign before and how it had gone. But it was a really good lesson.
Yeah.
It was a good lesson for me. And when you run for something, it should never be for the title. It should be because you really want to accomplish something. And that's the lesson that I learned.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you stuck with it. And we're really happy to have you here. Enjoy New York City while you're here with your family.
Thank you very much.
Governor Andy Beshear, everybody. We'll be right back with Seth Reed.